Doc, the physics of sound and music, we're going to review chapter Q. So we go here to the text and click on Q and bring it over here into sight. And this is the second part of Modular Synthesizers, a class we again dedicate to Bob Moog, one of the inventors of the synthesizer, who was a colleague of mine and a member of the Asheville community for 25 years. Well, let's look at noise. Noise consists of all the frequencies, and in the analogy with light, when Newton discovered all the colors put together give white, and then with the prism break them down to get the spectrum, engineers call all the frequencies together white noise. Sounds like this. And it looks like that on the oscilloscope. And here are some examples of white noise. The rain. Cheering crowd at a circus. If you're far away. Say, the rain. Ocean. Very, very good examples. Fire extinguisher in action. And machines at a factory. Steam. White noise. You simply take a circuit, and the kit that I have that makes a noise generator simply rams current down a transistor's throat the wrong way. In other words, you put the current in the wrong way and you get noise electronically, and that is when you hear it through a speaker. Well, you have here all the frequencies. You do not need any voltage control coming in because you have everything. And remember, with a circle, you don't have anything coming in to the left. Alright, so here is the simple diagram for a noise circuit. You simply have coming in, you play different keys, and you can get then different amplitude control. So you go, you know, like explosive sound, you know, where it comes in abruptly and then gradually. So, but all of these are going to be the same in terms of the frequencies. Are all there. It's just that you're going to change the attack. At a K, you might have a swishing sound, explosive sound, and a sucking sound. So here we're looking at the next module, the filter. And for the filter, we have our low-pass filter, bandpass, and high-pass, which you covered in the previous chapter. And this is going to modify things. So we take an audio signal in and an audio signal out. We therefore use the triangle, and this control is going to control the cutoff frequency, and for a bandpass filter it'll control the central frequency, and then you'll have to have another knob somewhere, some control to give you the band width for that. So that's the VCF, the voltage controlled filter, and we can see here a simple arrangement where noise comes in here and we make colored noise. If we pick here, for example, a low pass filter, we'll get the lower frequencies, and that's sometimes referred to as red noise or pink noise, since red has a lower frequency than blue in the spectrum. If you go here with a high pass filter up here, then when you play the key here, down here, you will then get stuff like a hissing sound. So here, when you play different notes, you actually move the cutoff around, so you get more hissy if you have a high pass filter. If you go up, really hissy if you play up here, and if you go to the left, you would have less of a super high type of a hiss. If you have a low pass filter, then when you're down here, you have the real low, and then as you move up here, you'll get more of the noise coming in. And if you pick a bandpass filter, bandpass would be in the middle. So if you think of RGB, red, green, and blue, that's your spectrum in light among friends. If you just break the spectrum up into three regions, the low frequency region, red, the middle is green, and the high frequency is the blue. Kind of like they do in multimedia when they do HTML programming and your color theory and application in computers, the RGB, then you can think of red light analogous to low, sort of a low frequency sound, and then green is in the middle, green noise, middle frequencies, and then your hiss is your blue noise, your high frequencies for the noise. Here you have resonance filter, And for a resonance filter, you have a resonance graph where you have a major response in the middle someplace and little response to the left, little response to the right. And this helps you shape things, especially noise. It'd be nice to work with these filters, but can be used with any type of input wave. So what are these parameters here we're looking at that gives it these different shapes? Well, it's the Q value. The Q value takes care of things. Q value, if the Q value is high, you're tall here and narrow. If your Q value is low, then you are short here and wide. This is more like a selective type of noise, like yeah, get a whistle in there almost, because see, you're hovering over here one frequency. You're centered on like one frequency here that you're emphasizing. The more narrow that is, the more you get like a whistle. In fact, if it's a spike, then you have a whistle and you no longer have the noise. Here, this is more of a broadband noise, since you get a lot of things in. This is a party that you're only inviting, say, 18-year-olds, and you can have some 19-year-olds, a little less of those, and maybe someone here sneaks in that's the kid brother or something, or kid sister, but mainly it's the 19-year-olds here. This party here says, well, look, you can have some old-timers here, maybe grandpa's there, and here's some babies are there. So you can think of the analogy with the party, and these are your ages. And this says, hey, lots of folks there that are the given age, whatever's down here. Well, we come here to our arrangement of noise with the filter. Different keys here give you different filter characteristics. I picked here a bandpass filter. And then this lets me shape the noise in terms of the attack, decay, sustain, release. So I simply replace, see, my source here with the noise instead of the VCO, and notice the noise does not need anything coming into it, so I'm using my keyboard to control the filter. Here, synthesizing the howling wind, because the low frequency oscillator is working on the cutoff. Here is the standard arrangement that gives you all the modules working together except for the LFO, which we'll talk about in a second. Here you have a beautiful representation of manipulation of sound in the Moog synthesizer. See, Bob Moog has to deal with the three properties of sound that we talked about earlier in our course, and that is your pitch, your frequency, your timbre, and your amplitude, which relates to your loudness. So here, the big three, the concepts in physics, we would say amplitude here is related to your loudness, your timbre is your waveform, the shape of the wave, and your frequency is your pitch. So Bob Moog has these three columns here, see, in this diagram that we have where he's controlling everything. He's controlling the frequency here with the keyboard, and he's controlling the timbre here. Now you do have a switch here where you can initially pick different timbres, that's true, but when you actually pick one, you're committed, and then you have a certain timbre you start with, so you're really controlling the frequency here. And then by altering the harmonics, by filtering things out, like in our previous chapter, we talked about the rant wave coming in and filtering out some harmonics or lots of harmonics, slow pass, a few get in, band pass, a few in the middle, high pass, etc. This is your timbre control, and this is your amplitude control, your loudness control. So you have the big three. Notice that the filter is tracked by the keyboard, because if you kept the cutoff the same and you play up the scale, say for a low pass filter, and if you got too high in pitch, you hear nothing. So that's not good. So you want to have the filter adjust. So you might want to rule, for example, that I want the first harmonic to come in and the second harmonic, and then I want to have a cutoff. That's all I want. Well, if you have 200 hertz wave, then you want your filter to let the 200 in and the 400. Then if you go up an octave and hit a note that's 400 hertz, well, wait a minute, now I want the 400 to go in and the 800. So see, you have to move the cutoff to adjust so that you get them to pass. It might be, say, analogous to, say, a mother and daughter. If mama is 20 and the daughter is 2, you want them to enter. But say mom is 40 and the daughter is 20. Well, I have to adjust things now because I want really mama and the daughter. So I can't be strict with my cutoff. If my cutoff is strictly 22 years old, well, I get the young mother and the young daughter. but then I have trouble with getting the pair with the 40-year-old and the 20-year-old. I just get the daughter, and if I have a 60-year-old and a 40-year-old, I get nobody, so you hear nothing. So you need to adjust. That's called filter tracking. And then for your modulation, what you do is you bring your LFO in for your amplitude modulation, that's your tremolo. You bring your LFO into your VCO for your frequency modulation, that's your vibrato. And if you want to bring the LFO in here to the VCF, you will get your timbre modulation, and that's a neat way to get things like wow, 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 wah, wah sounds. So that completes the Moog synthesizer, and notice that in this diagram, our principles of the shapes apply. Here's a generator of sound, a circle. A modifier has something going in, something going out. Modifier again. Control voltages are here in the basement, in the ground floor, and this is the second story, and the audio signals go from left to right in the second story, and from the first floor or down here are your control voltages, your controllers. A controller is a rectangle, that's a controller. This is a modifier, a triangle, and a circle is a generator of the sound. And here all of the audio signals go east. All of the controls have arrows that point north. So I have 3 audio wires, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 control wires. The Moog synthesizer, we are finished.